Here on the Dennis Daniel Show's Otakon-A-Thon 2013, and joining me right now, I'll tell you what, he is a very talented man. Not only does he direct, produce, and write for Funimation Anime, he's also a very talented voice actor, as many may know best as Master Roshi from the iconic Dragon Ball series, Gene Havoc from Fullmetal Alchemist, and Buggy the Clown from One Piece. He is the one, the only Mr. Mike McFarland. Mr. McFarland, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. That was a glorious introduction. Thank you.
Hey, I gotta tell you one thing.
Yeah.
High school, growing up,
yeah.
Dragon Ball Z was awesome. Master Roshi was my favorite. And then when they debuted Dragon Ball, a little afterwards, you know, seeing him in his prime in the Dragon Ball series. And I think I told you this a couple years ago at OhioCon that one of my favorite songs was a boom, 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 a dee, dee, dee. A martial artist life is the
life for me.
And that laugh is just yes, I can't do it.
Oh, thank you so much, man. So
but
nice.
yes, but what got you interested in acting?
Let's see. I started acting very, very young. I guess like second grade, third grade, something like that. And I really enjoyed it. And by the time I hit middle school, I just stopped. I started playing music. I started playing trumpet, and later on I started playing guitar and did some other things. And it took me probably until I got in college before I was like, man, I really enjoyed acting. I want to do that again. I mean, I dabbled with it a tiniest little bit in high school, but not nearly, to any sort of studying or extensive delving into it. And in the midst of college, I decided halfway through, I'm like, I know that I'm mostly done with my music degree, but I really want to act, and I really want to continue doing that. So I ended up continuing college for another 3 or 4 years, much to my family's chagrin, to get pretty much a double major, but it's a weird like BFA in music with a concentration in business and a minor in theater. And the minor just being that I didn't want to build sets or weld or anything like that. I just wanted to study acting and writing and directing.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling all too well. I had to, in E-Media, it's considered fine arts, so yeah, I had to do a lighting course, and just setting up and taking down was just the biggest pain, because we had to work on a stage show as our final, and that was not fun, and I ended up getting a C on it, which really angered me, because I missed a day. I got yelled at work for not calling and telling them I needed off, which I was supposed to. But anyway, that's a story of a different color. But anyway, of course, one of your most iconic roles is Master Roshi from the Dragon Ball series, including Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Z Kai, and Dragon Ball Z Kai Aruni, which. You think that last one's a joke.
Yes.
It just
Kai Aruni.
It is the show that never ends.
Yes.
Getting to play, I think, one of the funniest characters to ever come out of anime.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun to work on that show, and a lot of fun to work on that character. That was, believe it or not, one of the first roles that I was ever cast in anime. I was cast in 2 roles as my first roles, which was actually there's 3 roles now that I think about it. Count Lucifer and the Army Commander and Master Roshi, that were all on the Dragon Ball special of Sleeping Princess and the Devil's Castle. And I had such a fantastic time with it, and I received some direction on, do this, and that sounds great, whatever else. And over the years, worked with different directors, and it didn't take me long to grow and to love and appreciate the character, but obviously if you can continue doing it for years and years and years, that love and appreciation becomes, multiple fold. It's always fun to do it again. If there's ever a game that pops up or any more Kai or anything like that, I'm like, oh, cool, we get to do more Dragon Ball, we get to do more Roshi. It's so super fun. The closest feeling to working on something like that lately is doing any of the One Piece stuff they work on, just because it's long and epic and broad and fun like Dragon Ball was.
Yeah. Yes, I think that, when they added Roshi to the roster on the Dragon Ball Z games, I think it really took it up a notch, because not only could you play as Roshi, but you could play as his alter ego Jackie Chun.
Yeah.
Which really was a big step, because in the Dragon Ball series, when Goku entered his first martial arts tournament, that was who he had to fight in the finals.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really good set of episodes, because, you thought Goku he's the hero, he's got to win, but Roshi was the one that won. And then again at the end, when he spends all of Roshi's prize money, I think that's a poetic justice. So,
yeah.
In a sense, he won. Well, anyway, of course, outside of Dragon Ball Z, you're also known as Gene Havoc from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
Now, I love Gene because he's Roshi light. He's like Roshi free version. He's the smoker, he's the drinker, he's the womanizer.
Yeah, or he tries to be all of those things. He succeeds the most with the smoking, it seems.
Yes, but despite being a kind of a minor character in a sense, what was it like playing him, and what did you think of his character?
I loved playing him. I loved his character. My initial choice on the approach to the voice, of course, along with listening to the Seiyu's performance and seeing what's on screen, that sort of thing. But the little bit of swagger that I gave him is actually my impression of Damian Clark's speaking voice, who played Scar in that series. Just because I think Damian has such a cool demeanor and tone. As far as what it was like playing him, it was fun. It's obviously a different series tonally than Dragon Ball, so there's some dramatic moments and things that need to be handled just so in order to capture the moment properly. And then going from Full Metal Alchemist to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, there was the additional, of course there was a lot more work to do, but there was the additional mental juggling of the fact that he lost some of his mobility partial way through the series. And that had a lot of impact on how he was approached.
What was cool was, even after that, everyone is breaking down and crying, and he's still staying the cool cat that he is. I mean, sure, he was sad because he lost a lot of his mobility, but, it was cool seeing Travis Willingham, who played Mustang, seeing Mustang's character develop more, more purpose because of your character. So your role in the series is like a catalyst, which helped the other main characters develop their sense and purpose in the series.
Definitely,
so
I agree with that.
I really think that's one of the cool things about you. You've played characters like Master Roshi helped Goku, become the fighter that he is today. Gene Havoc gave Mustang purpose after he was shot. I think that's one of the cool. You're like the catalyst of the Funimation anime. You play characters that help the main characters become the iconic, noble spirits that we know and see them as today.
I hadn't thought of that. That's neat. That's neat to look back on it that way.
Yes. Well, anyway, you're here at Otakon because you voice directed for a brand new movie, and I'm actually quite excited to see this. Can you tell us a little bit about Wolf Children?
Wolf Children. I love Wolf Children. Wolf Children is the latest film from Mamoru Hosoda. He's the director of Summer Wars, and before that he did The Girl Left Through Time, and before that he's worked on a few other features, but these three were like his own babies. He wrote them, wrote the story, created them, and directed them. So that's kind of his three films that I equate to being his body of work, or his body of storytelling in his work. Wolf Children follows the story of Hana and her kids, Yuki and Ame, through various stages of where they live and where they take their lives, being that they are of a wolf species. They're like part human, part wolf, and all of the trials and tribulations that come along with trying to raise children that have that sort of background in modern society.
That's unique. It's kind of Inuyasha-esque, because Inuyasha was half human, half demon. And especially, we didn't get to see much of childhood growing up in Inuyasha, whereas we see it in the Wolf Children. And I was looking at some of the cast members. It looks like a lot of new blood coming into this series.
It's some, for sure. Like, I made it a point to, not like 100% across the board, no matter what, a completely different cast from Summer Wars, but I wanted as many, as far as the bigger roles, as much as possible to not be people that were repeating a performance or repeating work with me in two Hosoda films in a row. And now I did cast Colleen as the lead for Hana, because she's far and away the best person for that particular role, and she's a fantastic actor, and she really, really brought a lot of personal experience as far as dealing with her family and trials and tribulations. There, she puts a lot of honesty and a lot of herself into her performance, which comes through no matter who she's playing. And in this particular instance, with it being Hana and taking care of these children, she doesn't have children of her own, but she's very family-oriented and could relate quite a bit to it, and she sounds fantastic. But beyond that, I think most of the other cast are people who were not specifically featured in Summer Wars, so that was another aspect of the casting.
Well, it's cool that you're giving the next generation a chance to get their foot in the door, and and from what I've heard, Wolf Children is bound to be an instant classic. Has Funimation by chance released a DVD debut for Wolf Children in case they can't quickly use their time machine to travel back in time and catch it here at Otakon?
I'm not sure. I want to say that it comes out before the year end, so but I don't know where.
Well, I'm sure they could stay tuned to the Altis Explosion website, and we'll announce when the Wolf Children will come out, and maybe we'll even give away a copy of the DVD.
That'd be awesome. I know that Funimation had a panel earlier today that I didn't get to be a part of because it was interfering with some of the other interviews and other things that I was working on. But who knows? They may have announced it then.
Well, either way, Mike, I think the movie is going to be an instant classic. Summer Wars has just developed its own little clique and cult. So I think with you behind the cast, and obviously you know what you're doing because you, of course, have given us such countless characters and worked on so many great shows. I think that the Wolf Children, and I'm just taking a stake on this, I think voice directing with the guy who did Roshi, Havoc, and the cross-dressing daddy from Oran High. I looked at a photo of her. I'm like, no.
Yes.
No.
Mr. Fujioka. Mr. and Mrs. Fujioka.
If I may quote Shawn Michaels, that is one sexy boy. But I think that Wolf Children might even compete with a Miyazaki movie.
Well, I really feel that Hosoda has a lot to say, and that his filmmaking style is something that definitely needs to be seen. And a lot of people are touting him as the next Miyazaki and whatever else, and I would not argue with that. I think that he's a fantastic storyteller, really writes from the heart, and really has a fantastic way of weaving a story and telling a tale, and to really get the audience on the edge of their seat, and laughing and crying and doing all the things that you do when that you want to do when you go see a movie.
Well, if there are some very, very sad scenes involving children in this movie, Mike, I might be shedding tears. So before we go, do you have any advice for those who want to pursue a career in voice acting?
Well, there's lots of advice. For extensive advice, Crispin Freeman has put up a very extensive list of pointers and tips and advice, so go to his website at crispinfreeman.com.
And while you're there, check out our interview with him from 2010.
Do that as well. As far as me, initially, just some quick things. Remember that it's an acting job, so despite whatever sort of interesting voices or whatever you have, it's an acting gig, so take acting classes, study theatrical acting. That will help you into any other avenue of acting that you may want to do, be it voice or film or children's theater or anything. You have to have an acting background. It's not just the voice. Beyond that, as far as an additional thing, I would say it would very much be in your interest to take improvisation. Improvisation forces you to make quick choices and to be characters and maintain these characters for moments of time, and it will open your mind up to maybe approaching things that you didn't think you could do before, like, I never thought I could play the hero, or I'm no good at playing this, I'm no good at playing that. Well, in improv, sometimes that's your role, like you have to do this, and you're just forced to do it, and you find all sorts of things about yourself and what you can do that you didn't think was possible.
It does sound like some pretty good advice, Mike. So I thank you so much for joining us on the Otakon-A-Thon. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little soul with Micah Solsad. You are listening to the Dennis Daniel Show's Otakon-A-Thon 2013.